Hey everyone, Thyworm here with some league start tips in Solo Self-Found, starting with the first episode, Run Everything. I feel a common strategy used in trade when it comes to league starts is that you clear the atlas as soon as possible and then start farming currency like crazy. In trade that makes a lot of sense because the currency you earn in the first few days can last you the entire league if you know what you're doing. And for some currency farming strategies you don't even need to complete the atlas, I'm aware of that as well. In Solo Self-Found, you could have that same mindset, that of completing the atlas ASAP, because it seems like a natural goal and a natural progression. And if you have that mindset, there is in theory nothing wrong with it, of course. But if you think about it, there's no real need for that. We are in for the long run, right? Why would you want to have your entire atlas completed as soon as possible? It might even make more sense to not rush it, which brings me to the tip, run everything. Run everything has to do with scarcity. At SSF League Start, resources can be scarce. Chromatic orbs for coloring, alchemy orbs to make maps rare, file orbs to corrupt maps. Maps themselves are sometimes rare, respec currency, you name it. I personally really like making the most out of what is available, which does two things. First, it solves the scarcity issue, at least in part, and second, it adds some variety and takes your mind off the idea that you need to complete the atlas tree. There's more to a Path of Exile endgame than maps. Maps are the core endgame and most other endgames are in some ways tied to it, but maps aren't the end-all and be-all. So when I say run everything, I mean go out and already start running other endgame mechanics than maps because they tend to synergize very well with your progression. Let me give you some examples. The moment you get some sulfides from Nico in a map and your bar is full, don't progress the atlas further, but take a little detour and start delving. You will likely do it anyway during your SSF adventure, so why not just run it straight away and stop wasting additional sulfides you can't store anyway. Already increase your darkness resistance, increase that sulfide inventory, and finally you may even run into a delve city which at League Start yields so many rewards. You get maps, currency, gear, and doing some delve can make atlas progression so much smoother because of those rewards. The same is true for incursion. You will find alpha even when not speccing into incursion nodes on the atlas tree, and you will build a temple in time. That temple isn't going to be great, but there's bound to be a bunch of monsters in there, maybe some tier 3 rooms, the final boss which can drop very good gear at League Start. You can get tons of maps from there, it is worth running, especially at the start. Or heist. At lower levels, your rogues level much slower, so it is not the most efficient league mechanic at lower levels, but heist rewards are amazing, so why not run a few contracts, get some essences, maybe some fractured gear, some currency, or the coins you need later to refill those rooms for the blueprints. You need to do this anyway, why not start with it before you complete the entire atlas? Or Expedition. If you follow my Atlas Starter SSF trees, you are speccing into Expedition, which means you will find logbooks too. Run those once you get them. It is a very nice variation to mapping, it provides tons of loot, essences, currency, fractured items, ward gear if that becomes popular, which it just might. It is worth running early on is my point. And you can just run them white, there's no need to put an alchemy orb on those things. The rewards from the chests aren't impacted by rarity in that sense, only the monster loot is, and the monsters don't really drop all that much, so why bother? Just keep it white, keep it easy, you have a great time. And the same is true for all the league mechanics that you find inside of the maps. You may not take points in the atlas tree for harvest, but if you do see harvest, go in, kill the monsters, get that juice. Go into Val side areas, you may even find one of those corrupted 6 links which can drop after I think level 50 zones. There are sacrifice fragments in there which add map quantity if used. A bunch of Val gems that'll come in handy perhaps. They are worth running is my point once again. Ultimately, it all comes down to resources. By making the most out of the resources you get, which I think is an important aspect of early League Solo Self-Found, you'll have a much smoother progression towards ultimately tier 16 maps. If you only rely on mapping, you may run out of currency or maps, and that really doesn't need to happen at all. Plus, by spending some more time in content that is closer to your own power level, you give your skill gems some additional XP, gain a few more levels without dying, making that jump to the top red tier maps much smoother. So do yourself a favor, get rid of the idea that you need to complete the Atlas ASAP, run everything available to you, and you will see that you'll have a much easier and smoother progression towards the end game. And that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe and like for more PoE SSF content. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.